Elliot's heart pounded as he stood in the cramped Brooklyn apartment, the scent of Noah's cologne still lingering on the jacket slung over the chair. It was February 13th, and tomorrow's Valentine's Day loomed like a storm cloud. He'd spent weeks planning the perfect gift-a-custom leather journal, embossed with Noah's initials, to hold the poetry Noah never shared, but Elliot knew he wrote in secret. He clutched the wrapped box, his fingers tracing the edges, imagining Noah's rare smile when he opened it. But last night, Noah's voice had been sharp, cutting through their usual warmth. No Valentine's gifts. Elliot. I mean it. The words stung, not just for their finality, but for the coldness in Noah's eyes. A look Elliot hadn't seen in their 2 years together. The apartment was quiet now, save for the hum of the city outside. Elliot sank onto the couch, the gift still in his hands. Why had Noah been so adamant? They'd never skipped Valentine's Day before. Last year, Noah had surprised him with a rooftop picnic under the stars, their laughter echoing over Manhattan. That memory felt like a lifetime ago. Something was wrong. Elliot could feel it in the way Noah avoided his gaze, the way his silences stretched longer each day. He set the box down and ran a hand through his tousled brown hair, his mind racing. Noah had been distant for weeks, his late nights at the law firm piling up, his temper flaring over small things. Elliot had chalked it up to stress. Noah's job was brutal, and as a public defender, he carried the weight of his clients' lives. But this felt different. Personal. Like a secret Noah was guarding with his life. The door creaked open, and Noah stepped in, his dark coat dusted with snow. At 27, he carried himself with a quiet intensity. His sharp features softened only when he looked at Elliot. But tonight, his eyes were stormy. "You're still up," Noah said. Not a question, but a statement. His voice low. "I was waiting for you," Elliot replied, trying to keep his tone light. He gestured to the gift on the table. "I know you said no gifts, but, Elliot." Noah's voice was a warning, his jaw tight. "I told you. No gifts." The air thickened. Elliot stood, his heart racing. "Why?" "Noah, what's going on? You've been shutting me out for weeks." Noah turned away, shrugging off his coat. "It's nothing. Just drop it." But Elliot couldn't. "Not this time. It's not nothing. You're angry all the time, and I don't know why. If it's about us, just tell me. Please." Noah's shoulders stiffened, and for a moment, Elliot thought he'd walk away, like he always did when things got heavy. But then Noah spun around, his eyes blazing. "You want to know? Fine. I'm drowning. Elliot. My job. My familiarity tearing me apart. And you." He stopped, his voice breaking. "You're the one thing I can't afford to lose. But I'm terrified I will." Elliot's breath caught. This wasn't about a gift. This was about something deeper, something Noah had been carrying alone. He stepped closer, reaching for Noah's hand. But Noah pulled back, his expression raw with pain. "Don't," Noah whispered. "Not now." The words hit like a punch. Elliot stood frozen as Noah disappeared into the bedroom, the door clicking shut behind him. The gift sat untouched on the table, a silent reminder of the distance growing between them. For the first time, Elliot wondered if love alone was enough to hold them together. He sank back onto the couch, staring at the journal. Noah's anger wasn't just anger, it was fear, and Elliot had no idea how to reach him. But he wouldn't give up. Not yet. He'd spent his life fighting for what mattered. Growing up gay in a small Ohio town had taught him that. Noah was worth it. Their love was worth it. The next morning, Valentine's Day, Elliot woke to an empty apartment. Noah's coat was gone, his keys missing from the hook. A note on the fridge read, "At the office. Don't wait up." Elliot's chest tightened. He'd planned to surprise Noah at work, to force a conversation. But now he wasn't sure. What if Noah was pulling away for good? He grabbed his coat and the journal, determination settling in. If Noah wouldn't talk, Elliot would find a way to make him listen. He stepped into the snowy New York morning, the city buzzing with couples and heart-shaped balloons. But for Elliot, the day felt heavy with questions. What was Noah hiding? And could their love survive it? As he hailed a cab, his phone buzzed. A text from Noah, "Meet me at the pier tonight. 8 p.m. We need to talk." Elliot's heart leapt, then sank. The pier was their place, where they'd shared their first kiss. Was this a chance to fix things or the moment everything would fall apart? Elliot's cab rattled through the snowy streets of Manhattan, the journal heavy in his lap. The city blurred past vendors selling roses, couples laughing under bright awnings, but his mind was on Noah's text. "We need to talk." Those words carried a weight that made his stomach twist. The pier at 8 p.m. felt like a deadline, a moment that could define their future or shatter it. He glanced at the journal, its leather cover cold under his fingers. He'd spent weeks tracking down the perfect artisan, someone who could craft something as unique as Noah's quiet passion for words. Noah never shared his poetry, but Elliot had found scraps in drawers, lines of raw emotion scrawled in Noah's sharp handwriting. The journal was meant to be a safe place for those words, a gesture of trust. Now, it felt like a gamble. The cab pulled up near Noah's law firm, a sleek building that towered over the Lower East Side. Elliot stepped out, snow crunching under his boots. He didn't know what he'd say, but he couldn't wait until tonight. Noah's distance was a wall, and Elliot was determined to break through, even if it meant storming into his office. Inside, the lobby was all glass and sharp angles, a stark contrast to their cozy apartment. The receptionist, a woman with a tight smile, eyed Elliot's casual jacket and the wrapped box in his hands. "Can I help you?" she asked. Her tone clipped. "I'm here for Noah Carter," Elliot said, forcing confidence. "Is he in?" She raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Carter's in a meeting. You'll need an appointment." "It's urgent," Elliot pressed, his voice steady despite the nerves coiling in his chest. "I'm his partner." Her expression softened slightly, but she shook her head. "I'm sorry. He's unavailable. You can leave a message." Elliot hesitated, then scribbled a note on a scrap of paper. "I'm here. I need to see you. E." He handed it over, his heart sinking as he turned to leave. The journal felt heavier now, a reminder of his failed plan. He stepped back into the cold, unsure of his next move. As he wandered toward a nearby coffee shop to wait, his phone buzzed again. Not Noah, but a voicemail from his sister. "Mia, back in Ohio. Elliot, call me. It's about Mom. She's asking about you and Noah again." Elliot's jaw tightened. His family had never fully accepted his relationship, and their questions always carried an edge of judgment. He deleted the message, not ready to deal with that weight today. The coffee shop was warm, filled with the scent of espresso and the chatter of strangers. Elliot ordered a black coffee and sat by the window, watching snow dust the streets. His mind drifted to the early days with Noah, late night talks in dive bars, stolen kisses in Central Park. The way Noah's laugh could make the world feel lighter. They'd built a life together, piece by piece, despite the challenges of being out in a world that didn't always understand. But lately, Noah's light had dimmed. Elliot thought of the late nights, the curt replies, the way Noah flinched when Elliot asked about his day. Was it just work? Noah's job was relentless, defending clients who couldn't afford anyone else, fighting a system that often felt rigged. Or was it something else? Something Noah wasn't saying. His phone lit up. Another text from Noah. "I got your note. Can't leave now. Pier tonight. Please." The please hit Elliot hard. a crack in Noah's usual stoicism. He typed a quick reply, "I'll be there," and leaned back, sipping his coffee. The journal sat on the table, a silent challenge. He wouldn't give it to Noah yet, not until he understood what was breaking them apart. The day dragged on. Elliot wandered the city, the snow falling heavier now, blanketing the streets in quiet. He passed couples holding hands, their joy a sharp contrast to the knot in his chest. By evening, he reached the pier, the Hudson River glinting under the city lights. The air was sharp, cutting through his coat, but he barely felt it. His eyes scanned the crowd for Noah. At 8:05, Noah appeared, his dark coat blending into the night. His face was pale, his eyes shadowed with exhaustion. "You came," he said, his voice softer than it had been in weeks. "Of course I did," Elliot replied, stepping closer. "Noah, what's going on? You're scaring me." Noah looked out at the water, his breath visible in the cold. "I didn't want it to be like this. I wanted to protect you." "Protect me from what?" Elliot's voice rose, frustration spilling over. "You're shutting me out, and I can't keep guessing what's wrong." Noah's eyes met his, raw and unguarded. "It's my family," he said finally. "They found out about us. About you. And they're not okay with it." Elliot's heart sank. Noah's family was old money, conservative, the kind of people who valued image over everything. Noah had distanced himself years ago, but their influence lingered. "What did they say?" Elliot asked, dreading the answer. "They want me to choose," Noah said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Them or you." The wind off the Hudson cut through Elliot's coat, but it was Noah's words that chilled him to the bone. "Them or you." The ultimatum hung in the air, heavy as the snow settling around them. Elliot stared at Noah, searching his face for the man he'd fallen in love with, the one who'd promised forever under these same stars 2 years ago. "Choose." Elliot's voice cracked. "Noah, you told me you were done with them. You said their rules didn't matter." Noah's jaw tightened, his eyes fixed on the river. "I thought I was. But it's not that simple. They're threatening to cut me off me trust fund, my career, everything. They've got connections at the firm. If I don't play their game, I could lose my job." Elliot's stomach twisted. Noah's job wasn't just a paycheck. It was his purpose. He'd seen Noah stay up all night preparing for cases, fighting for people the system overlooked. To lose that would break him. But the thought of Noah choosing his family, choosing a life without Elliot was unbearable. "So what are you saying?" Elliot asked, his voice shaking. "You're just going to walk away from us?" Noah finally looked at him, his eyes glistening. "I don't know, Elliot. I don't know what to do. I love you, but they're my family. They're all I've got besides you." The words hit like a slap. Elliot took a step back, the journal still tucked under his arm, forgotten in the weight of the moment. "All you've got? What am I? Noah. Just some guy you can replace." "That's not what I meant," Noah said quickly, reaching for him. But Elliot pulled away, his heart racing with hurt and anger. "Then what do you mean?" Elliot demanded. "Because it sounds like you're already halfway out the door." Noah's hands fell to his sides, his shoulders slumping. "I'm trying to protect you," he said, his voice low. "If I lose my job, I can't support us. And if they go after you, Elliot, you don't know what they're capable of." Elliot's mind flashed to his own family, the whispered disapproval he'd faced growing up. He'd fought to build a life where he could be himself, and Noah had been his anchor. Now, that anchor felt like it was slipping. "I can handle myself," he said, his voice firm. "But I can't handle you shutting me out. If we're going to fight this, we do it together." Noah didn't respond, his gaze drifting back to the water. The silence stretched, each second carving a deeper wound. Finally, Elliot couldn't take it anymore. "I'm going home," he said, turning away. "If you figure out what you want, you know where to find me." The walk back to their apartment was a blur. The city's Valentine's Day cheer mocking him at every turn. Heart-shaped lights glowed in shop windows. Couples laughed over candlelit dinners. And Elliot felt like he was moving through a world that didn't belong to him. The journal in his hands was a dead weight, a symbol of a hope he wasn't sure he could hold on to. Back in the apartment, he dropped the journal on the coffee table and sank onto the couch. His phone buzzed Mia again. This time, he answered. "What is it, Mia?" he asked, his voice flat. "Elliot, Mom's been asking about you," she said, her tone cautious. "She saw your post with Noah last month. She's trying to understand, but she's worried." Elliot laughed bitterly. "Worried? She didn't care when I left Ohio. Why now?" "She's changing," Mia said softly. "She wants to talk. Maybe you should come home for a bit." Home. The word felt foreign. Ohio was a place of memories he'd rather forget. Sneers at school, his father's silence when he came out. Noah had been his home, his safe place. Now, even that was crumbling. "I can't deal with this right now," Elliot said, hanging up. He stared at the journal, its leather gleaming faintly in the lamplight. He opened it, flipping to a blank page, and grabbed a pen. If Noah wouldn't talk, maybe Elliot could. He started writing, pouring out his fear, his love, his anger, everything he couldn't say out loud. Hours later, the door creaked open. Noah stood in the doorway, his coat still on, snow melting in his hair. "You're still up," he said, echoing the night before, but his voice was softer now, almost broken. "I couldn't sleep," Elliot said, closing the journal. "Did you make your choice?" Noah hesitated, then crossed the room and sat beside him. "I don't want to lose you," he said, his voice raw. "But I don't know how to fight them without losing everything else." Elliot's heart ached, but he held Noah's gaze. "Then we figure it out together. No more secrets." Noah nodded, his hand brushing Elliot's. It wasn't a promise. Not yet. But it was a start. For the first time that night, Elliot felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they could face this together. The morning after Valentine's Day, the apartment felt like a battlefield, littered with unspoken words. Elliot woke to the scent of coffee, a small gesture from Noah, who stood at the kitchen counter, his back to the room. The journal lay on the coffee table, untouched, its presence a quiet accusation. Elliot wanted to believe Noah's words from last night. "I don't want to lose you," but the weight of Noah's family loomed larger than ever. Elliot joined him in the kitchen, the silence between them heavy. "You made coffee," he said, trying to ease the tension. Noah turned, his eyes tired but softer than they'd been in weeks. "Figured we could use it." He handed Elliot a mug, their fingers brushing. The touch was fleeting, but it sparked a warmth Elliot hadn't felt in days. They sat at the small table, the city waking up outside. Elliot sipped his coffee, searching for the right words. "What do they want from you, Noah? Really?" Noah's gaze dropped to his mug. "They want me to be someone I'm not. To go back to their world dinners. Galas. The right kind of life. They think you're..." He trailed off, his jaw tight. "They think I'm what?" Elliot pressed, his voice steady despite the hurt. Noah met his eyes. "A phase. A mistake. They don't understand us, Elliot. They never will." The words stung, but they weren't a surprise. Elliot had faced that kind of judgment before his own family. Strangers, even co-workers who raised eyebrows when he mentioned Noah. But hearing it from Noah's family, people who held so much power over him, was different. It felt like a threat. So what's the plan? Elliot asked. You can't keep dodging them. And I can't keep waiting for you to decide what we are. Noah leaned forward, his hands clasped. I know. I've been trying to handle it alone, but I'm screwing it up. I need time to figure out how to stand up to them without losing everything. Time, Elliot echoed, his voice tinged with frustration. How much time? Noah. Because I'm here, fighting for us, and it feels like I'm doing it alone. Noah's eyes flashed with pain. You're not. I'm fighting too, even if it doesn't look like it. I don't want you to get hurt. Elliot reached across the table, his hand covering Noah's. Then let me in. Tell me what we're up against. Noah exhaled, his shoulders relaxing slightly. Okay. They've given me a month to fix things. That means ending things with you or losing my trust fund and my job. They've already talked to my boss subtle threats, but enough to make it clear they're serious. Elliot's heart sank. A month. It was a ticking clock, each second pulling them closer to a choice neither wanted to face. And if you don't? He asked quietly. Then they ruin me, Noah said, his voice flat. No job, no money, no way to keep this, he gestured to the apartment. To them. I can't let that happen to us. Elliot's mind raced. He'd never cared about money. His job as a graphic designer paid enough, and he'd grown up with less. But Noah's career was his life, and losing it would destroy him. We'll find a way, Elliot said, his voice firm. We always do. Noah's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile. You make it sound so easy. It's not, Elliot admitted. But I'm not giving up on you. On us. They spent the day talking. Really talking. For the first time in weeks. Noah shared more about his family, the pressure to conform, the years he'd spent hiding who he was. Elliot listened, his heart aching for the boy Noah had been, caught between duty and desire. By evening, they'd made a plan. Noah would talk to his boss, gauge how much his family's threats could actually hurt him. Elliot would reach out to Mia, see if his own family could offer any support, even if it was just emotional. As night fell, Noah picked up the journal from the coffee table, his fingers tracing the embossed initials. You got this for me, he said, his voice soft. Elliot nodded. I know you said no gifts, but I couldn't help it. It's for your poetry. Noah's eyes widened, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his face. You knew about that. I've seen your notes, Elliot said, smiling. They're beautiful. Noah, you should share them. Noah opened the journal, flipping through the blank pages. Maybe I will, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. With you. For the first time in days, Elliot felt like they were on the same side. The road ahead was uncertain, but they were facing it together. As Noah set the journal down and pulled Elliot into his arms, the city's hum faded, and for a moment, it was just them, two hearts fighting to hold on. The next week was a fragile truce, each day a step toward rebuilding what had frayed between them. Elliot threw himself into work, designing logos for a new client, but his mind was on Noah. Every night, they talked about Noah's meetings with his boss, about the careful steps he was taking to protect his job. But the deadline loomed, a shadow neither could ignore. One evening, Elliot sat at his desk, sketching ideas for a project, when his phone rang. It was Mia, her voice brighter than usual. Elliot, I talked to Mom. She wants to see you. Both of you. Elliot's pen froze. Both of us. Noah too. Yeah, Mia said. She's been reading up, trying to understand. She's not perfect, but she's trying. Can you come to Ohio next weekend? Elliot glanced at Noah, who was reading case files on the couch. The idea of bringing Noah to his childhood home, where he'd once felt so alone, was daunting. But if his family was willing to try, maybe it could give Noah the strength to face his own. "I'll talk to Noah," he said. "Thanks, Mia." When he hung up, Noah looked up, curious. What was that about? Elliot explained, watching Noah's face for a reaction. To his surprise, Noah nodded. "Let's do it. If your family's reaching out, maybe it's a sign we can figure this out." The decision felt like a leap, but it gave Elliot hope. They booked train tickets to Ohio, and the days leading up to the trip were filled with cautious optimism. Noah even started writing in the journal, leaving it open for Elliot to read. The poems were raw, full of love and fear, and each word felt like a bridge between them. The train ride to Ohio was quiet, the countryside blurring past in shades of gray and green. Noah held Elliot's hand, his thumb tracing circles on Elliot's palm. "What if they don't like me?" Noah asked, his voice low. "They will," Elliot said, squeezing his hand. "You're impossible not to love." Noah smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Elliot knew he was thinking of his own family, the weight of their demands still pressing down. But for now, they had a chance to face one challenge together. In Ohio, Mia met them at the station, her hug warm and genuine. The drive to their childhood home was surreal, the familiar streets stirring memories Elliot had buried. When they arrived, his mother stood on the porch, her face a mix of nervousness and hope. "Elliot," she said, her voice trembling, "I'm so glad you're here." The visit wasn't perfect. There were awkward silences, questions that felt too careful. But his mother listened as Elliot talked about Noah, about their life together. Noah, usually reserved, opened up about his work, his passion for justice. By the end of the night, Elliot's mother hugged them both, her eyes wet. "I just want you to be happy," she said. On the train back to New York, Noah was quiet, his journal open in his lap. "Your family's trying," he said finally. "Mine never will." Elliot's heart ached. "We don't need them," he said. "We have each other." Noah nodded, but his silence spoke louder. Back in the city, reality crashed in. Noah's boss confirmed the threats were real. His family had influence, and they weren't bluffing. Noah had 1 week left to decide. That night, Elliot found Noah on the fire escape, staring at the city. "I can't lose you," Noah said, his voice breaking. "But I don't know how to keep you without losing myself." Elliot pulled him close, the journal tucked between them. "We'll find a way," he whispered. "We always do." But as they stood there, the city sprawling below, Elliot felt the weight of the fight ahead. Noah's family wasn't just a threat, they were a force, and time was running out. The apartment felt smaller as the deadline approached, each day a countdown to Noah's decision. Elliot tried to stay strong, but the uncertainty gnawed at him. Noah was quieter now, his journal filled with new poems, dark, jagged lines about cages and choices. Elliot read them when Noah wasn't looking, each word a glimpse into the storm inside him. One morning, Noah came home from the firm with news. "They're offering a compromise," he said, his voice flat. "I keep my job if I move to their Boston office." "Alone?" Elliot's heart stopped. "Alone. They're asking you to leave me." Noah nodded, his eyes hollow. "It's their way of controlling me. If I go, I keep my career. If I stay, they'll make sure I lose it." Elliot stood, pacing the room. "This isn't a compromise, Noah. It's an ultimatum. They're trying to break us." "I know," Noah said, his voice breaking. "But what choice do I have? If I lose my job, I'm nothing. I can't provide for us. Can't." "Stop," Elliot cut in, his voice sharp. "You're not nothing. You're everything to me. We can figure this out. New jobs, new city, Whatever it takes. But not like this. Noah's eyes searched his. Desperate. You'd give up everything for me. I already have, Elliot said, his voice softening. I left Ohio. My family's judgment. All of it. For you. For us. Noah's face crumpled, and he pulled Elliot into a fierce hug. I don't deserve you, he whispered. You do, Elliot said, holding him tight. But you need to choose us. Noah. Not them. The next day, Noah met with his boss again, pushing for a way to stay in New York. Elliot waited at home, the journal open on the table. He added his own words, this to Mia letter to Noah, pouring out his love, his fears, his hope for their future. When Noah returned, his face was grim but determined. They're not backing down, he said. But I told them I'm not going to Boston. I'm staying here. With you. Elliot's heart leapt, but the victory felt fragile. What happens now? He asked. They'll try to fire me, Noah said. But I've got a plan. I'm talking to a friend at a legal aid nonprofit. They're small, but they're interested in my work. It's a risk, but it's something. Elliot smiled, relief flooding him. We'll make it work. Together. That night, they sat on the couch, the journal between them. Noah read Elliot's letter, his eyes shining. You wrote this for me? He asked. For us, Elliot said. No matter what happens, I'm here. Noah kissed him, slow and deep, and for the first time in weeks, the world felt right. But the next morning, a letter arrived from Noah's familiar formal demand to meet, or face consequences. The fragile hope they'd built cracked, and Elliot knew the fight was far from over. The letter from Noah's family sat on the kitchen counter, its crisp envelope a silent threat. Elliot stared at it, his stomach churning. Noah hadn't opened it yet, but its presence was enough to unravel the fragile progress they'd made. The deadline was tomorrow, and the weight of it pressed down on them both. Noah stood by the window, his back to the room. They want me to meet them tonight, he said, his voice low. At their estate upstate. Elliot's heart sank. Are you going? I have to, Noah said, turning to face him. If I don't, they'll escalate. I need to know what they're planning. Elliot wanted to argue, to beg Noah to stay, but he saw the resolve in Noah's eyes. Then I'm coming with you, he said. Noah shook his head. No. This is my fight. It's our fight, Elliot countered, stepping closer. They're trying to tear us apart. I'm not letting you face them alone. Noah's expression softened, and he nodded. Okay. But promise me you'll let me handle them. They drove upstate in silence, the city fading into rolling hills dusted with snow. The Carter estate loomed ahead, a sprawling mansion that screamed wealth and control. Elliot felt out of place in his worn jacket, but Noah's hand in his was an anchor. Inside, Noah's parents waited in a grand study, their faces cold. His father, a stern man with gray hair, spoke first. Noah, you're making a mistake. This lifestyle, this person, they're not your future. Elliot's blood boiled, but Noah squeezed his hand, a silent plea to stay calm. This is my life, Noah said, his voice steady. Elliot is my future. You don't get to decide that. His mother's eyes narrowed. We've given you everything. Your education, your career. You'd throw it away for him. I'm not throwing anything away, Noah said. I'm choosing what matters. The argument escalated, voices rising, accusations flying. Noah's father threatened to pull strings at the firm, to ruin Noah's reputation. Elliot stood silently, his heart aching for Noah, who fought with a strength he hadn't seen before. Finally, Noah stood, pulling Elliot with him. "We're done here," he said. "You can't control me anymore." They left, the mansion's heavy doors closing behind them. In the car, Noah was quiet, his hands gripping the wheel. "I'm sorry you had to see that," he said. "I'm not," Elliot replied. "I'm proud of you." Noah's eyes met his, and for the first time, Elliot saw something new: freedom. They drove back to the city, the journal in the back seat, a symbol of their shared fight. But Elliot knew this wasn't the end. Noah's family wouldn't give up easily, and the consequences were coming. Back in Brooklyn, the apartment felt like a sanctuary, but the tension followed them. Noah's stand against his family was a victory, but it came at a cost. The next morning, his boss called his position was under review, a clear sign his family's influence was at work. Noah hung up, his face pale but resolute. "We knew this might happen," he said, sitting beside Elliot on the couch. "But I meant what I said. I'm done letting them control me." Elliot took his hand, his heart swelling with pride. "What's next?" "I've got an interview with the nonprofit tomorrow," Noah said. "It's not much money, but it's work I believe in. And it's a start." Elliot nodded, hope flickering. "We'll make it work. We always do." Over the next week, they rebuilt their life, piece by piece. Noah's interview went well, and he landed the job, a smaller role but one that let him keep fighting for justice. Elliot took on freelance projects, their combined income enough to keep the apartment. They leaned on each other, their love a quiet strength against the storm. One evening, Noah opened the journal, his poems now filling half the pages. "I wrote something for you," he said, handing it to Elliot. The poem was simple, raw, about love that endured through fear and sacrifice. Elliot's eyes stung as he read it, the words a testament to everything they'd faced. "It's beautiful," he said, his voice thick. Noah smiled, pulling him close. "You're beautiful. Thank you for not giving up on me." They sat together, the city humming outside, the journal between them. Noah's family hadn't backed down. They'd cut him off financially, and the threats lingered. But Elliot and Noah had something stronger: each other. The journal, once a Valentine's gift, was now a record of their journey, proof that love could survive even the hardest battles. As spring bloomed in New York, they walked to the pier, hand in hand. The river sparkled under the sun, and Noah read a new poem aloud, his voice steady. Elliot listened, his heart full, knowing they'd chosen each other, and that was enough.